The night was too quiet for Sol, too still, too expectant. And then the glass shattered. Amara flinched as the bottle crashed at her feet, splashing cheap liquor onto her legs. The restaurant's customers gasped, chairs scraping back. Her boss, Mr. Kwan, rose slowly from his table, eyes burning with the kind of anger that made her bones stiffen. "You think you can embarrass me?" he hissed. "Pick it up." Amara bent immediately, hands trembling as she gathered the jagged pieces. Her heartbeat thudded in her ears. She'd learned long ago that silence kept her alive, silence and obedience. But as she reached for the last shard, a man at a nearby table stood up abruptly. "Hey," he said sharply, "that's enough." The entire restaurant froze. The voice was cold, controlled, and dangerous in the way a sheathed knife was dangerous, hidden, but lethal. Mr. Kwan's head snapped toward the man. "You want to involve yourself in what's not your business." The stranger stepped forward, and his long coat shifted enough to reveal the gun holstered at his side. Amara's breath caught. Everyone knew what that meant. This wasn't some random customer. This was someone who lived his life in the shadows, the kind of man people whispered about. But before Mr. Kwan could respond, a small hand tugged on the stranger's sleeve. A little boy, 7, maybe 8, peeked from behind him. Big eyes, soft, panicked breaths. And when he tried to speak, nothing came out. His mouth moved, no sound. The boy was deaf. Mr. Kwan smirked. "You bring a child here? What are you, stupid?" The boy flinched at the tone, even if he couldn't hear the words. Amara's chest clenched. Instinct took over. She wiped her hands on her apron, ignoring the tiny cuts, and walked quickly toward the boy. Mr. Kwan grabbed her arm, but she tore free, something she had never done before. She knelt in front of the boy and lifted her hands gently. "Hello, are you okay?" she signed. The boy froze. Then his face lit up with sudden recognition and relief. His hands flew rapidly, messy, emotional signs only someone who truly understood could read. "He's scared. He doesn't like yelling. He wants to leave." The stranger's eyes widened. "You understand him?" Amara nodded. "Yes, I know sign language." The restaurant had gone silent. Some customers watched, confused but captivated. Even Mr. Kwan blinked in surprise. "How?" the stranger asked. Her throat tightened. "My younger brother, he was deaf. I learned for him before I came here." Before she was sold? Before everything shattered? The man kneeled beside his son, gently placing a hand on the boy's head. "Minjun, it's all right. I'm here." His voice softened, different from the sharp authority he used moments earlier. The boy clung to him, and Amara felt something stir painfully inside her. Memories she'd buried long ago. Yet she kept her focus steady, using calm gestures to soothe the child until his breathing evened out. Mr. Kwan stepped forward, his face twisting. "Enough of this nonsense. Get back to work." The stranger stood fully now, the shift in his posture chilling the air. "Touch her and you'll lose that hand." His voice wasn't raised, but it vibrated with a deadly promise. The room tensed. Mr. Kwan swallowed hard. "I'm Han Jae-won," the man said simply, and just like that, every whisper, every rumor Amara had ever heard clicked into place. The second most powerful mafia boss in the city. A man whose enemies vanished like breath in winter. He didn't brag. He didn't need to. He turned to Amara. "Come with me." The order stunned her. "What? Why?" "You just calmed my son in 10 seconds. No one has managed that in months." Mr. Kwan barked a laugh. "She's not going anywhere. She's mine." Amara froze as the familiar wave of dread washed over her. That word, mine, was the chain she had lived with for nearly 2 years. The reason she scrubbed floors for 18 hours. The reason she slept in a windowless room. The reason her hope had thinned to threads. Sold, trafficked, purchased by Mr. Kwan from a Nigerian broker when she desperately tried to escape the men who murdered her family. She never even saw the money exchange, just hands dragging her. Papers forged, a passport taken, a life stolen. Jaewon's jaw tightened. What do you want for her? She's not for sale. You bought her, Jaewon replied calmly. Everyone in this district knows. Amara felt shame burn under her skin. She didn't want Jaewon to say it out loud, didn't want the entire room reminded that she lived like an object. Jaewon nodded once. Two of his men materialized from the shadows. They didn't need instructions. They only stood beside him, silent and threatening. Mr. Kwon paled. Jaewon tapped the table. Name a price, or I take her, and you'll never breathe peacefully again. Mr. Kwon hesitated, only a second too long. I fine, 10 million won. Done, Jaewon said instantly. Amara's mouth parted. She had never imagined someone would fight for her, much less buy her freedom rather than her body. But Jaewon wasn't done. And you never come near her again. If you do, I'll reorganize your entire existence. Mr. Kwon stumbled back. Jaewon turned to Amara and extended his hand. Let's go. Amara stared at that hand, strong, steady, dangerous, inviting. But a lifetime of fear told her stepping toward one devil to escape another was madness. Then Minjun tugged her sleeve gently, signing, "Please come." Her eyes filled immediately. She didn't know why that simple sign broke her, but it did. She took Jaewon's hand. The restaurant buzzed with whispers as they left. Some recorded, some simply stared. Outside, the cold air hit her like a slap. She hugged herself, suddenly aware she had no coat. Jaewon shrugged off his and draped it over her shoulders without a word. She nearly jumped at the kindness. Minjun reached up, touching her hand, then signed slowly, carefully, almost shyly. Thank you. I should be thanking you, she whispered. Jaewon opened the car door for her. You work for me now, but not like before. She hesitated. Then why take me? Because my son hasn't smiled in a long time, he said, and he smiled for you. She swallowed hard. And because, he added quietly, no woman deserves to be owned. Her vision blurred. Jaewon paused before closing the door. If you want to return to that life, say the word and I'll take you back. If you want something different, follow me. He didn't force, didn't threaten, didn't demand. He simply gave her a choice, the first choice she'd had in years. She nodded, barely. I'll follow. As the car drove into the city lights, she whispered to herself, what have I just done? The ride to Jaewon's estate was long, smooth, and silent, in the way only expensive cars could achieve. Amara sat stiffly, clutching the seatbelt, too aware of her own breathing. Minjun leaned against her arm, relaxed now, his tiny fingers absently tracing patterns on her sleeve. The simple, innocent gesture made her throat tighten. She wasn't used to softness, especially not after being sold. Are you cold? Jaewon asked suddenly from the opposite seat. His voice wasn't harsh now. It was quiet, almost gentle. Amara shook her head, though she was shivering a little. I'm fine. You don't have to lie, he said. She didn't respond. She didn't know how. Minjun sat up and signed. She scared. His expression was serious, concerned. Jaewon's brows drew down slightly as he watched his son's hands, still struggling to read every sign. Is that true? He asked her. Amara looked away. I'm just trying to understand what's happening. You're free from Kwon, he said. That's what's happening. Free. The word felt too fragile to hold. Too unreal. She swallowed hard. People like me don't get free. You do now. She didn't know whether to believe him. After years of being treated like property, the idea felt like a trick. They arrived at the estate, a sprawling mansion on the hilltop overlooking Seoul. Warm lights lined the path, and guards stepped aside as the car approached. Everything about the place screamed wealth, danger, and power. When the car stopped, Jaewon opened the door and reached for Minjun first, carrying him effortlessly. Then he offered his hand to Amara again. She stared at it for a beat before taking it. His palm was warm, grounding. Inside, the foyer was huge, polished floors, dark wood, soft lights. But there was a quietness to it, like a home built around silence for Minjun's sake. That small detail touched her unexpectedly. A middle-aged woman hurried forward. "Boss, you're home early and—" Her eyes fell on Amara. Surprise rippled across her face. "Who is this?" "Her name is Amara," Jaewon said. "She'll be here for Minjun." The woman nodded slowly. "I see." Then, turning to Amara, she offered a soft smile. "Welcome. I'm Miss Park. I run the household." "Thank you," Amara whispered. Minjun wriggled in his father's arms until Jaewon set him down. He ran to Amara immediately and grabbed her hand like he'd known her forever. Miss Park's eyebrows shot up. "Oh, that's new." Jaewon exhaled softly. "He likes her." Minjun tugged Amara down to his height and signed enthusiastically, "Let's play." She laughed, a sound she hadn't made freely in years. Later, she signed back, "You need to sleep soon." He pouted dramatically. Jaewon chuckled under his breath, the sound rough and unfamiliar, as if he didn't laugh often. "Miss Park," he said, "arrange a room for her, near Minjun's." "A room," Amara murmured. Her old room was a storage closet. "Yes," Jaewon replied simply, already walking toward the stairs. "A real one." Miss Park guided her down the hallway. "You must be special for the boy to attach so quickly." "I don't think I'm special," Amara said softly. "Maybe not to yourself," Ms. Park replied. "But that boy rarely touches anyone." They entered a room, warm lights, a soft bed, a window overlooking the city. Too much, too beautiful, too unfamiliar. Amara stood frozen in the doorway. Miss Park placed a hand on her shoulder. "You're safe here." The moment she heard the word safe, her eyes stung. She blinked hard. She didn't want to cry in front of a stranger again. "Rest," Miss Park said. "I'll bring you clothes." When she left, Amara stepped slowly inside, fingers brushing the comforter, the clean sheets, the soft carpet. Her chest constricted painfully. She had lived like an item on a shelf for so long that being in a real room felt like trespassing into someone else's life. A knock sounded. She spun. Jaewon stood in the doorway, hands in his pockets. He looked at her, but not with hunger, not with cruelty, with something else she couldn't name. "How are you?" he asked. "I don't know yet." He nodded once. "That's fair." Silence stretched between them, but it wasn't heavy. It was cautious, curious. "You said earlier you learned sign language for your brother," he said. "What happened to him?" Her breath caught. "He was taken." "Taken?" "By a group back home. I tried to get him back, but—" Her voice broke. "Instead, I ended up captured, sold, and then sold again. Until I landed here." Jaewon absorbed this quietly. "You survived a lot. I didn't have a choice." His jaw tightened. No one should live like that. Amara laughed bitterly. "People like me don't get choices." "You have one now," he said. "Whatever you want this to be, working here, staying temporarily, leaving eventually, it's up to you." She searched his face. "Why are you being kind to me?" He hesitated, just for a moment. "Because someone should have been kind to you a long time ago." Her heart stumbled. She looked away quickly, terrified of what she was beginning to feel. Jaewon stepped back. "Dinner is in an hour. Minjun will want you there." When he left, she sank onto the bed, covering her face. Her entire world had shifted in a single night, and she didn't know whether to be relieved or terrified, maybe both. An hour later, she found herself at a dining table longer than her entire apartment back home. Minjun sat beside her, smiling widely as she signed stories to him. Jaewon watched them with an expression she couldn't decipher. Softness mixed with something heavier. "You make him happy," he said once Minjun ran to show Miss Park a drawing. "I'm glad," Amara replied. "You make me curious." She blinked. Curious? He leaned forward slightly. You've lived through hell. You have every reason to hate the world. But you're gentle. How? She looked into his eyes. Gentleness was the last thing I had left. If I lost that, I'd lose myself. Something flickered in his expression. Respect, admiration, something deeper. Before she could understand it, one of his men hurried into the room. Boss, the man said urgently, you need to see this. Jaewon stood immediately. What is it? A message from Kwon. Amara felt her stomach drop. The man handed Jaewon a phone. A video played. Mr. Kwon's voice filled the room. You think you can steal from me? He snarled. You think you can embarrass me? That girl belongs to me. And if you don't return her, I'll burn your whole world down. Amara's hands shook so violently, she hid them under the table. Jaewon's face went cold. Silent fury radiated off him. He looked at her. You're under my protection now, he said quietly. No one touches you, not while I breathe. She swallowed hard, terror and relief mixing in equal measure. Min-jun ran back to her, oblivious, holding a drawing of her and him together. Amara forced a smile for him. The night deepened around the mansion, but inside, tension hung thick in the air. Fear twisted in the stomach of Amara as she stared at the dark screen of the phone that had played her former captor's threat. Her pulse hammered, her breath uneven. She thought she'd escaped that nightmare, yet its shadow was already reaching for her again. Across the room, the man who now protected her, Han Jae-won, stood still as stone. His silence wasn't calm, it was volcanic, the kind that erupts only when someone threatens something precious. He won't touch you again, he said quietly. She didn't answer. She couldn't. The fear sat too close to her throat. He won't, he repeated, this time firmer. She nodded faintly, but her hands still trembled beneath the table. His eyes flickered to them, darkening with something like guilt. His voice softened. You're safe here, I promise you. Safe. There it was again. That fragile word she didn't know how to hold. Min-jun tugged her sleeve, pulling her back from the fear clawing at her mind. He showed her another drawing, this one of her holding his hand while he laughed. Her breath cracked, emotions swelling painfully. She forced a smile and hugged him lightly. Is it okay if I put him to bed? She asked. Jaewon nodded. He'd like that. She followed Min-jun to his room, a cozy space filled with soft colors and quiet toys. The moment she stepped inside, she noticed something. Every toy had been chosen to be safe for a deaf child. No loud alarms, no sudden noise-based functions. Everything gentle, everything tailored to a world of silence. Min-jun climbed into bed, still smiling as she tucked him in. He grabbed her hand and signed, "Stay until I sleep?" Her heart pulled. Of course. He snuggled under the blanket, watching her with half-lidded eyes. She stroked his hair softly until he drifted off, chest rising and falling in peaceful rhythm. She waited a while longer, making sure he was truly asleep, before slipping quietly out. In the hallway, she nearly collided with Jaewon, who had been standing there silently. He didn't want me tonight, he said. He wanted you. She swallowed. He feels safe with me. You calmed him, he murmured. You understand him. His eyes held something she didn't dare name, something too warm and too dangerous at the same time. Walk with me, he said. She hesitated, but followed him through a quiet corridor leading to a balcony. The view of Seoul stretched before them, lights flickering like distant stars. Wind brushed her face, cool and cleansing. Jaewon rested his hands on the railing. Your old boss won't act immediately. Men like him only bark before they bite. He'll try to scare us first, shake us, make you afraid enough to run back. I'm not going back. I know, he said. But he doesn't. She hugged her arms. He said he'd burn everything down. He can try, Jaewon said calmly. His reach is small compared to mine. That should have comforted her. It didn't. People like him, they don't let go. I'm not letting go either. Her breath hitched. He wasn't talking about ownership, not about claiming her the way her former captor did. No, his voice held something else, something terrifyingly gentle. I'm not trying to take anything from you, he continued. Least of all your freedom. If you ever want to walk out of this house, you can. But until you do, I won't allow anyone to threaten you. Emotion swelled in her chest until it hurt. Why, you don't even know me. I know enough. His eyes softened. I know you risked yourself in that restaurant to comfort a child you didn't know. I know you have more strength than you realize. And I know you've lived through hell, but still treat people with kindness. She shook her head, overwhelmed. You're giving me too much credit. No, he said. I might even be giving you too little. Her breath caught. Then he stepped slightly closer, not touching her, but near enough that warmth radiated between them. I don't want you to fear me, or this place. She lowered her gaze. I don't fear you. Good. But I am confused. About what? You, all of this, why things are happening so fast. He nodded. Let me slow it down for you. His voice softened. Tell me what you need. She hesitated, then whispered, Time. Then you'll have it. She didn't realize she'd been holding her breath until it escaped her in a trembling sigh. He stepped back, giving her space. There's something else you should know. She tensed. What? Quan isn't the only threat. His expression darkened. When someone like me takes something, even for the right reasons, others get curious. Her stomach dropped. Others? You mean other mafia groups? He nodded. Some will assume you know my secrets. Some will think you're valuable leverage. Her knees weakened. He noticed and steadied her with a hand on her arm, a warm, steady touch. You're not alone, he said. Not anymore. She nodded faintly. Will you tell me what I should do? Yes, stay close, don't wander alone, and trust me. Her eyes lifted slowly. Do you want me to trust you? I want you to choose to trust me. The vulnerability in his tone shocked her. She opened her mouth, but footsteps echoed down the hall. One of Jaewon's men approached, urgency written across his face. Boss, he said. We have movement, 2 cars circling the lower gate, no plates. A shiver ran through her. Jaewon's expression hardened instantly. He's testing me already. Should we engage? The guard asked. No, let them circle, let them watch. His jaw tightened. I want him to know he's not scaring anyone. The guard nodded and left. Jaewon turned back to her. Are you all right? No, she whispered honestly. But I'll try to be. He exhaled softly, as if that answer meant more to him than she realized. You should sleep, he said. Tomorrow will be complicated. Will you be okay tonight? That surprised him. You're worried about me. You seem tired, she admitted, like you carry too much alone. A shadow passed over his face. I do. You don't have to, she said before she could stop herself. His breath hitched almost imperceptibly. Good night, Amara, he said, voice low. Good night. She walked back to her room, but he stayed on the balcony long after she left, thinking, watching the city, protecting her without saying it aloud. And somewhere deep inside, she sensed it. Everything in her life was about to escalate. Dawn broke too quickly. Amara woke to a soft knock on her door, heart jumping into her throat. She wasn't used to waking calmly. For 2 years, every morning had started with shouting, threats, demands. Now, as she blinked into the quiet morning light, she had to remind herself she wasn't in that world anymore. The door opened slightly. Amara, it was Ms. Park. Breakfast is ready, and the boss wants to see you afterward. Her stomach tightened. Is something wrong? Ms. Park hesitated. Just go to him after you eat. Not exactly comforting. She dressed quickly in the clean clothes Ms. Park had given her. Soft fabric, nothing like the threadbare uniforms she'd been forced to wear before. When she stepped into the hallway, Minjun spotted her and ran toward her at full speed, crashing into her legs with a grin. He signed excitedly, "Come eat with me. Sit next to me. Hurry, I saved you a seat." She laughed, scooping him into a hug. Okay, I'm coming." He dragged her into the dining room, insisting she sit beside him. She barely noticed her plate, too focused on Minjun's happy chatter and signs. For the first time in years, she felt a small flicker of something she hadn't dared feel in so long. Warmth. But as she lifted her gaze, she noticed the man at the head of the table, Han Jae-won, watching her quietly. Not suspiciously, not possessively, simply observing, trying to understand her. He spoke once Minjun ran off to show a guard another drawing. "Did you sleep?" "Yes." "Nightmares?" Her breath hitched. "No, not last night." A faint relief passed across his face. "Good." Then his expression shifted, warmer but edged with something serious. "Come with me." They walked to his office, a spacious room lined with shelves, maps, and security monitors, showing every corner of the property. She shivered at the sight of one camera feed, 2 unmarked cars still parked near the lower gate from last night. He noticed. "Ignore them, they won't do anything." "But they're dangerous." "They're stupid," he corrected, "and stupidity is manageable." She swallowed hard. "Why am I here?" He gestured for her to sit. She hesitated before obeying, her fingers twisting in her lap. "I need to know something," he said, "and I need you to be honest." She nodded slowly. "How did Kwon get you? The truth, not the short version." Her breath turned sharp. She looked down. "Does it matter?" "Yes," he said, "because any detail you hide might help me protect you." That made her chest ache. No one had ever asked her to tell the truth for her own safety. People had demanded her story before, but always to use it against her. She took a shaky breath. "My brother, when he was taken, I tried to get help. I begged. I went to people with money, with power. But instead of helping, they sold me to someone else. They said I could work off the debt of looking for my brother." Jaewon's jaw clenched. "I thought I was being hired as a nanny, or a cleaner, something, but that wasn't true." She pressed her nails into her palms. "They locked me in a house for weeks, then sold me again, and again, until I ended up with Kwon." "How?" His voice was dangerously quiet. "He bought me during an illegal auction." Jaewon stood abruptly, running a hand through his hair. He walked to the window, fists tightening. "I paid 10 million won for you," he said. "Do you know what that means?" Her stomach twisted. "It means he owned me." "It means," he corrected gently but firmly, "that I removed one of the last people profiting from your suffering." She froze. He turned, eyes deep with something she wasn't prepared for. "It means I owe you more than just a room in my house." "You don't owe me anything," she whispered. "I do," he said, "because I can't look at you and accept what was done to you." Her throat closed. She didn't know what to say to that. A knock interrupted them. One of Jaewon's men entered. "Boss, we have a problem." Jaewon's voice dropped to ice. "Speak." "Someone broke into the southern fence last night. They left something." "Show me." They walked to the security room. The guard lowered a small plastic bag onto the table. Inside was a piece of black cloth, stained with red paint. Except Amara knew that smell. Blood. Her knees wobbled. Jaewon caught her arm immediately. "What does it mean?" she whispered. "A warning," Jaewon said. "A stupid one, but a warning." The guard cleared his throat. "We found a note." He handed it over. Jaewon read it, jaw clenching harder with every word. When he finished, he passed it to her. "Bring the girl back. Last chance." The world swayed around her. She felt like she was sinking. He's coming for me. He won't reach you, Jaewon said, voice sharp with conviction. You can't know that. I can, he snapped, because I'll burn down every gate in this city before I let him touch you. She shook her head, overwhelmed. You don't understand. Kwon will kill you for taking me. He'll kill your men. He'll kill me. Let him try. His voice was deadly, but also full of something else, something terrifyingly protective. She was shaking too hard to speak. He gently touched her arm. Amara, look at me. She lifted her eyes. Nothing is happening to you, he said softly. Nothing. I will protect you, but I need you to trust me, just a little. She drew in a shaky breath. I'm trying. His hand slid down to squeeze hers, warm and grounding. Good. Another guard rushed in suddenly. Boss, Kwon is here. Amara's blood turned to ice. No, he can't be. Relax, Jaewon said, stepping in front of her protectively. He's at the gate, not inside. The guard added, he came alone. He's demanding a meeting, now. Amara's legs nearly gave out, but Jaewon steadied her with an arm around her waist. You don't go anywhere near him, he said. I don't want to. You won't. He grabbed his coat. Stay inside, stay with Minjun. Her voice cracked. Please, be careful. He paused. The way she said it, raw, trembling, terrified for him, hit him harder than any threat. He gave her a small nod. I'll be back. Then he left the room, every step echoing with danger. Amara grabbed the doorway to keep herself upright as fear crashed over her in waves. She had barely begun to believe in safety, and now everything was falling apart. She whispered to herself, please don't let him get hurt because of me. The lower gate was already swarming with guards by the time Amara reached the window overlooking the courtyard. She pressed her hands against the glass, heart pounding so violently she felt faint. A single black car stood outside the gate, headlights slicing through the morning mist, and standing in front of it was Kwon, alone, confident, smirking. He looked exactly the same as the day he bought her. Expensive suit, oily charm, and the kind of arrogance that clung to him like smoke. But something in his stance was different, more unhinged, more dangerous. Jaewon walked toward the gate with the slow, deliberate steps of a man who feared nothing. Amara's breath trembled. She had never seen two worlds collide like this, her nightmare facing the only man who had ever shown her gentleness. Guards opened the gate, but stayed close enough to intervene instantly. Kwon stepped forward, spreading his arms mockingly. Han Jaewon, he drawled. I must say, you surprised me. Jaewon's eyes didn't flinch. You shouldn't be here. Shouldn't I? Kwon smirked. You took something that belongs to me. Amara's stomach twisted. Jaewon spoke evenly. Say her name, Kwon sneered. Why? She's just merchandise. Jaewon stepped closer, and the shift in his presence made even the guards stiffen. Say her name. Kwon rolled his eyes. Fine, Amara. That girl is mine. No, Jaewon said. She is no one's. From the window, Amara pressed a hand over her trembling mouth. Kwon laughed loudly. Look at you, pretending to be some kind of savior, but you and I, we're the same. We buy, we use, we profit. I don't use women, Jaewon snapped, and I don't tolerate men who do. Please, Kwon scoffed. Don't act righteous. She's just entertainment for you now. A pretty toy your son likes. Jaewon moved so fast that Kwon barely had time to blink before Jaewon had him by the collar, slamming him against the hood of his own car. Say something like that again, Jaewon growled, and I'll end you right here. Kwon grinned through his pain. So it is personal. Jaewon's grip tightened. It became personal the second she looked at me like she was waiting to die. Amara felt tears sting her eyes. Hearing him say it out loud, it cracked something open inside her. Kwon pushed off the car, straightening his suit with a disdainful flick. I'm giving you one chance, Han Jaewon. Return what's mine, and I'll pretend this never happened. She was never yours. Kwan's smile faded. Have it your way. He leaned in slightly, voice low and venomous. You're making enemies you can't afford. I've had enemies since the day I was born, Jaewon replied, and I'm still here. Kwan clicked his tongue mockingly, then gestured toward the mansion. Tell her I said goodbye. She'll understand soon enough. Then he turned and walked back to his car. The moment the door slammed, Jaewon whispered to his guards, "Follow him, don't lose sight." Amara watched the black car disappear down the road. She didn't realize she was shaking until Ms. Park appeared behind her, gently placing a hand on her back. "It's over," Ms. Park said softly. Amara shook her head. "No, it's not yet." A few minutes later, Jaewon walked back inside, wiping his hands like he wanted to remove anything Kwan had touched. His expression was unreadable as he found Amara waiting in the hallway. "You shouldn't have watched that," he said. "I needed to." He studied her face, the tightness in her jaw, the fear in her eyes. "Are you all right?" "No," she whispered, "but I'm not running." Something flickered in his eyes. Pride, maybe. Relief. "Come with me," he said. They walked to the quiet lounge where sunlight streamed gently through long curtains. Jaewon closed the door behind them, leaving just the two of them in the warm silence. "Sit," he said softly. She obeyed, her hands twisting in her lap. He knelt down in front of her, a sight that startled her so deeply her breath caught. She had never seen a man like him kneel for anything. "I'm going to end this," he said, "completely, today." "No," she blurted out. "That's what he wants, for you to make a reckless move." He shook his head. "I don't act recklessly, I act decisively." She grabbed his sleeve without thinking. "I don't want you to get hurt because of me." He froze, her voice trembled. "I couldn't live with that." Slowly, he covered her hand with his. "You're not the reason for this. He is. I'm just finishing what he started." A tear slipped down her cheek. He brushed it gently with his thumb, the touch unexpectedly tender. "Amara," he said, "look at me." She lifted her eyes. "You are not a burden. You are not a problem to solve. You are not something broken that needs fixing." His voice softened. "You're someone worth protecting." Her breath hitched painfully. "Why do you care so much?" He exhaled slowly. "Because somewhere along the way, you became important to me." Her lips parted. She didn't know how to breathe, how to respond, how to move. Before she could speak, Minjun burst into the room, breathless and excited. He ran straight to her, climbed into her lap, and hugged her with small arms full of trust. She held him tightly, tears slipping down uncontrollably now. Minjun pulled back and signed. "Are you okay?" She nodded and signed back, "Yes, because you're here." Jaewon watched them, something breaking in his expression, something soft, something human. He approached and knelt beside them. "Minjun," he said gently, "do you like Amara?" Minjun nodded with all the seriousness of a small child and signed, "She's family." Amara's breath cracked audibly. Jaewon swallowed hard. He placed a hand on his son's back. "Is that what you want?" Minjun nodded again, smiling. Jaewon turned to her, voice low, warm, certain. "Then stay, not because you owe me, not because you need protection. Stay because you want to." Amara looked between father and son. The family she never thought she'd have. The safety she never imagined. The love she never dared to dream. And for the first time in years, she felt herself choose something with her whole heart. "I'll stay," she whispered. The relief that washed over Jaewon's face was quiet but powerful. He didn't reach for her, didn't pull her close. He simply nodded, eyes soft with emotion he couldn't hide. Later that day, the guards returned with news. Kwan had left the district entirely. Without allies, without options, without power. He was gone, for good. As night fell, Amara stood on the balcony, breathing the cool air. Jaewon joined her quietly, standing close enough that their arms brushed. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Free," she said softly. He exhaled like he'd been waiting to hear that word. "Good." She turned toward him. "Thank you." "You don't owe me thanks." "I want to thank you anyway." Their eyes held in the quiet, golden glow of evening. Min-jun appeared behind them, tugging their hands together with an innocent grin. They didn't pull away. Amara squeezed back gently. For the first time, she knew she belonged somewhere. Not by force, not by ownership, but by choice. Her choice. This was her ending and her beginning.
If you enjoy the story, please subscribe to this channel for more stories like this.